Hampshire College will close within 5 years if it doesn't find another college or university to merge with. That's according to Board of Trustees incoming Chairman Kim Saal. He told Connecting Point that earlier today. Saal pointed to decreased enrollment, increased need for student financial aid, and a significantly underfunded endowment as driving factors behind its financial troubles. College leadership announced the need for a merger last month. At that time, President Miriam Nelson pointed out the college had a balanced budget and a $52 million endowment, but that its endowment has long been insufficient to support the small private college. She said Hampshire hoped to have a partner in place by the end of the semester and didn't intend to close. When I sat down with Saal, I began by asking how he'd describe Hampshire's current financial situation.
So let me describe the history of Hampshire since its onset, but quickly moved to 2019. Hampshire was founded in 1970. It has been underfunded since its origin. And over the last few years, the challenge has been decreasing in enrollment. 80% of the revenue stream of Hampshire is based on enrollment. So over the past 3 years, there's been approximately a 20% reduction in enrollment, which obviously has dramatically impacted what we can achieve.
And I know the school has made some adjustments. I think it was 2016, 15 positions were not filled to kind of plug a $2.6 million gap. But in terms of the current financial situation, how would you describe it?
So the current financial situation is one that is not unique to Hampshire. It is across the state of Massachusetts, across the entire country, where really the number of students applying to colleges is down. The financial ability of those students to pay for college is down. There is a shift of people from the Northeast to the West, and all of those have put great constraints on a number of schools. So it is not as if Hampshire's all of a sudden fallen off a cliff. There's been this gradual decline, and finally it's at a point where we feel that we cannot guarantee our students a surety that they will graduate from Hampshire in 4 years from now. So we decided to take a very different approach than many other schools have taken, which was really waiting until they were in dire conditions and closing. The need for Hampshire College in 2019 is greater than it was when I entered in 1970 as the first class.
You mean the need financially for the school?
No, the need for higher education is greater today than ever before. The kinds of jobs that have yet to be developed, that will be developed over the next 20, 40 years, is this robot-proof world where it's not learning a bunch of facts, but it's how to think in between, how to work in the gray areas. That's what Hampshire has excelled in. That's what it's done since its onset. And so we didn't want to take a course that could eventually be the story. The closure of Hampshire College was all about the future.
So given that sort of dynamic learning environment that Hampshire is well known for here in the region and in the state as well and beyond, how would a merger work, which is, one of the things that was announced?
So the merger works from, has to be 1 + 1 = 3. So it has to be a benefit to each party. The benefit to Hampshire is obvious. We have financial needs. The benefit to the other party, I'll just give one example, which would be the most likely one, which is with another institution of higher education. They have students who are clamoring for this type of educational model, interdisciplinary learning, self-directed learning. That's Hampshire's ethos. They have students, but they don't have the infrastructure, the ability to provide that. We would offer that to them.
UMass has been mentioned several times by reporting here in the region as kind of the front runner among potential merger partners. Is that the case?
I cannot comment on any potential partners. But all I can say to you is that we are talking to multiple different partners. Since the announcement, even more partners have come to the forefront, and we're excited about the opportunities.
And given the sort of structure that you laid out, what Hampshire would get out of it, the 1 + 1 = 3, as you said, would Hampshire be able to maintain what makes Hampshire Hampshire?
So we're guided by our founding principles of these conversations. They are, how do we ensure, preserve the Hampshire mission? How do we enhance our reputation, which is strong now, but stronger? What do we do in the best interests of our students, faculty, and staff? our local community, and finally to have the fortitude to make some tough decisions, which we are facing now.
Yeah. Certainly, there's a lot of support for the school online. Alumni have spoken out about how upset they are about what's happening with the school right now. And some people have been critical of the college, saying, you didn't reach out to us. We would have helped financially. Did the school reach out?
To reach out, there are two parts to communication. There's the messaging, and then there's the person receiving the message. It's been clear that connection did not work. So
you're saying the school...
We did reach out, but probably we didn't say it in the right way so that people could hear that message.
So perhaps the direness of the situation was not communicated?
Exactly right. All I can say is right now we are thrilled at the excitement of our alums. They are more engaged now than they ever have been in the past, and that is only to our advantage. We hear those different communities, and we are engaging with them more and more. For example, tonight I'm meeting with the students. We're sitting around the current students fishbowl, where as many students want to can watch this, a conversation between the student network that's sort of leading the effort and myself and the president, and we'll have a conversation, but whoever wants to join in can join in, and we're doing the same thing with faculty, staff, and alums.
Speaking of faculty and staff, if the college merges, and this was alluded to, I think, also in the open letter that was sent out last week, you're going to have fewer students. That could mean job cuts, either faculty and staff. Do you have any sense of how many people you'll have to cut at the college?
You use the word could. There will be layoffs. There's no question about that. Those layoffs would have occurred irrespective of everything that has happened since January 15th. As I said before, our school is 20% smaller now than what it was a few years ago. The layoffs that you referenced to in the last few years, they were continuing this year as well. That exact number is uncertain. We really don't know what our school size will be next year. Hampshire students choose Hampshire because they want to come to Hampshire. So although there's lots of press about, oh my God, every student is going to flee Hampshire, I'm not convinced of that. I actually think that they come there for a specific reason, and they enjoy a little bit of turmoil, and they actually will flourish over these next few years.
When will you be able to let faculty and staff know whether or not they're going to have a job?
I think it'll be slowly rolling out over the next few months.
Let's talk about numbers a little bit.
Sure.
President Nelson has said the school has a balanced budget, has a $52 million endowment. How is that insufficient to support the college right now?
So a president of a budget which is okay now doesn't speak for what the budget looks like in 4 years' time. And we're just seeing declines. And that budget is balanced today on the backs of a few lucky things. One was some trustees over the past few years who gave significant gifts to make the budget balance. One was from our endowment. We got a one-time distribution. Those are all in the millions of dollars. So there have been lucky patches over the last 3 years. We can't be assured of those for the next number of years, and the amount of patching is getting to a larger and larger number every year. Regarding the endowment, $50 million to you and I sounds like a lot of money. But let's put this into perspective. The 3 colleges in our local community of the Pioneer Valley all have endowments between sort of the $500 million to the $1 to $2 billion range. I mean,
and you're not talking about UMass Amherst. You're talking about others in the 5-college system of comparable size.
Amherst, Smith, and Mount Holyoke. So their endowment is 10 to 40 times our size. That's a dramatic difference. And that's the kind of endowment one needs moving into the future. The reason we don't have that endowment is I'm as old as they get for being from the first.
You graduated in the first class in 1974.
Right. And my worth to Hampshire College may be more if I wasn't alive than if I am alive in terms of, But the reality is that we are all still relatively young.
In terms of how long the school can hold out without a merger, do you have a sense of a timetable?
To continue exactly as we're doing right now, it's short. And
Short, can you put a
short
year,
meaning,
5 years?
meaning couple of years kind of time frame. So therefore, we are changing. We will need to change over the next few years so that we can guarantee to our present students that they can graduate from Hampshire with a Hampshire degree, which is different than the promise that we can offer to the few students that we are admitting to next year's class. So that's the big difference, is we absolutely want to guarantee to our present students that they will be able to graduate.
So, but just to be clear, without a merger partner, Hampshire College would not exist within 5 years, you think, currently?
Correct.
So what are next steps now?
Next steps are looking for that strategic partner. It is going out there. There were, as I said, many people that we were talking to prior to the January 15th announcement, but since that announcement, there are significantly more. So that's one thing we're doing. The other thing we're doing is just engaging our communities more and more in that process. We have heard loud and clearly Hampshire works well with shared governance, and it's getting the engagement of students, faculty, staff, and all of these conversations to a greater degree than what was done prior.